age of 20, I never knew that there was a community in Kenya called the Sengwer. And this is the reality of many indigenous communities over the world, because indigenous people are disposable and invisible. And this is the reality, that indigenous people live in a world that cannot even imagine their existence. So in 2007, the World Bank funded the Kenya Forest Service through the government of Kenya, a natural resource management program that was initially supposed to look at conservation issues of the Embu Forest, which is in the Cherangani Hills of Kenya, just near the border of Kenya and Uganda. And under this project, $64 million was given to the Kenya Forest Service. And since 2007, the Sengwer people have witnessed a new wave of evictions in the area. As recent as at this particular point, as I make this presentation, the Sengwer's homes are being burnt, they're being evicted from their land. In 2013, the Sengwer people went to the High Court of Kenya in Eldoret, which is just near where they live, and they got an injunction from the High Court of Kenya stopping their evictions. They also registered their complaints with the World Bank Inspection Panel, and the World Bank Inspection Panel did investigate the issue. It found that the World Bank there were questions regarding the project, and in this year, around May, it did deliver and say that the World Bank was definitely culpable in the evictions of the Sengwer people. So what we're seeing in terms of the Sengwer, a new form of conservation is being pushed by REDD. We're made to believe that forest dwellers, indigenous people, for thousands of years have never known how to conserve their territories, that they do not know how to protect their ecosystems. And what we're seeing pushed is actually colonization. Colonization perfected in countries such as India, a masculinist, patriarchal control of dominance of the territories of indigenous people that has been seen throughout the global south, and now it's coming in the form of carbon markets and the financialization of nature, as Cassandra has very beautifully elaborated. In addition to this, when you look at the type of conservation being pushed through this REDD project, through carbon markets, the understanding of African cultures in terms of customary law is in terms of a cosmovision understanding of what governance is. And you notice that I do not use the word management because they do not manage. They govern their lands and their territories, where everything is connected, everything serves a purpose, where you cannot disconnect the people from the land, from the water system, from the air. It is one thing serving different purposes. We must reject the financialization of nature. We must reject REDD, definitely. You cannot expect the most vulnerable people to the impacts of climate change, the people who did not contribute to climate change, to be able to solve it. This is not our responsibility. It should not be our responsibility. This is colonization in any other sense. So, what we see is that in terms of the people in terms of the Sengwer, giving an example of the evictions that are taking place at this moment. Last week on Monday, four Sengwer people were arrested by Kenya Forest Service in the Embu Forest. And what happened is that one particular lady, Margaret Rako, was beaten up by the Kenya Forest Service. She was taken to court and fined for being on your land. This is the reality of these people. The Constitution of Kenya guarantees the rights of the Sengwer to be on their land. But what we see with the financialization of nature and the kind of they don't have rights. Basically, it doesn't matter what constitutions provide. It doesn't matter what kind of governance systems are in place. They just do not have rights. So, who protects the people in such circumstance? And questions regarding land rights and territorial governance. There have been in Kenya, in the Sengwer case in particular, the evictions did not begin in 2007. As I mentioned earlier, indigenous people are forced to live in a world that cannot imagine their existence. What we're seeing with carbon markets is that they continue to the already existing problems with regards to land, carbon markets actually make them worse. We must be cognizant of the fact that whatever ethnic or land conflicts that indigenous people or people around the world have, carbon markets makes it worse for them. And this is a big problem, especially for those of us who live in Africa, who after colonization barely have any land rights across the continent. So I would urge the tribunal to carefully consider the case of the Sengwer community and to work in a way that we can reject, and we should reject, the financialization of nature, and to learn from indigenous communities and how best to govern our territories and our lands, because they have a lot to teach us.